So Suzanne, welcome back. How's things?
Hi, doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be back here with you.
Look, I'm excited because we don't have to go into the whole story of everything now. We're on our second podcast interview. We can jump into more of the exciting things that you're doing in the world, which we do have an exciting topic to jump into today, which is the release of your new book. So congratulations on hitting the best-selling charts so quick. It's been amazing to watch that journey.
Thank you so much. This is, I want to say it's a dream come true, but it's also, this has been in the making for so long. And so it feels like, that's why it feels like a dream come true, just because, for all of you that want to write a book, or Simon, if you have a desire to write a book, it's a thing. It takes a hot minute. And then it's like, you feel like you've birthed this child when it comes out into the world. So I'm very excited to share this magical, mystical, high vibe story with hopefully millions.
It's literally is. I can imagine like birthing a child. I'm never going to know this, but it's just, you pour so much of yourself and like so much self-expression into something for so long to pull this together. And then it's a big thing of actually putting it in the public eye as well, isn't it? Just going, oh. So,
yeah.
I can imagine. I've actually been trying for 3 years. So I've been going and playing with the idea of writing a book. But the thing is with me, because I'm traveling all over the world and all that sort of stuff and learning so much, I keep going back. I'm like, oh my God, I could write this so much better now. So that's the looping trap that I found myself in. I don't know if you've found yourself in that.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So, it's funny because I've helped a lot of my clients to write, create, and launch books into the world. And I always say, like, start with a really shitty first draft, because we'll make excuses and, whatever. So it's like, get it on the paper, but you do have to at some point give yourself deadlines. Otherwise it's 5 years, 10 years, and you're still editing the book. At that point, you could have had 3 different books,
Okay. This episode's going to hold me accountable. By the next time we get you on in another year, I will have a best-selling book on the chart.
It'll be to celebrate.
I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there to the world. Yeah. You can interview me. We'll swap it.
Yeah. Perfect. I love it.
Suzanne, look, like, I love the topic of your book, and I don't know if this has just been like building up or whatnot, but I feel the topic of your book has just come at such a perfect time. Now, let's be honest. The last time we had you on, which was around, well, let's say 10 months to a year ago, there's a lot that's happened in the world. And I think your book topic, which is Girl Awakening, I don't just think it's a case of a girl awakening. I think at the minute we're going through a bit of a global awakening. So I think you've really just hit the nail on the book with both topic and time of release with this piece of content.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just interesting how divine everything happens, right? So for those listening, my book is called Girl Awaken, and it's a quote unquote fictional story of a girl having an awakening, and really just understanding, like, having her dark night of the soul, understanding what it's like to awaken, to connect to the divine, to learn the principles of self-love. But she does it in a really modern way that is so relatable. So, like, I have a group of early readers that have been reading it for feedback, and they're all like, this is about me. I'm Sam. This is about me. And it's funny because it's actually inspired by my life and the things that happen. And so I wrote it with the intention to raise consciousness, to shift consciousness, to help people connect to their own power, and to like lay some personal development and spiritual tools in there, but to do so in a fun way. Because when I was awakening, I was super activated. And so I had no problem sitting down and reading all the books that are hard to read. Like, I talk a lot about the book, The Seed of the Soul, because that was so pivotal. We probably talked about it even on the show last time, but that book was so pivotal in me, in my awakening. And you had to be activated at a certain level to read it. So I wanted to create something that was light, but still upgraded your vibration and still opened your mind and helped you to align your mindset to bigger dreams and to your power. And so what's interesting is this is the book. This is the proof. So you'll see it there. But this is the book, Girl Awaken.
It's so you can just, even the color scheme and everything, it just radiates you.
Thank you. Thank you. And, you know, I put a lot of love and frequency and energy in this book. And that's the intention, is that you feel it as you read it. And as you read it, you are receiving these energetic upgrades that do open your mind. And so I had originally written a book in 2014 called Musings of an Earth Angel. And it's kind of how I launched my career. It's like I remember praying to be shown my purpose, like, show me my purpose, show me my purpose. And then literally I was like jogging down the street one day, and I was in Atlanta, Georgia. It was 70 degrees, and I was just jogging. And then it was all of a sudden like boom, boom, like my feet hit the concrete. I got this like vision, and I was like, oh my God.
Like a thunderbolt hit you.
Yes, totally. And I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a book. It's not just going to be a book. It's going to be a trilogy. And it's going to be kind of like Twilight. Like, that's going to be the energy of, like, you know, people having fun with it. It's not going to be about vampires and wolves, but it's going to be about angels and about all the heavy shit that we have to deal with. And this girl just really connecting and getting into her power and learning all the truths. And it's going to go on, and it's going to be a movie, and, you know, all the things. And I just saw this from day one. And so I wrote the first rendition called Musings of an Earth Angel. I ended up launching my career with that. It opened a lot of doors for me. And then Simon, about, I don't know, a year and a half to 2 years in, I was like, I can make this book so much better. Like, this book can be so much better. So I pulled it off the market, and now Girl Awaken is like a reimagined, upgraded version of that story. It's not all the story. So it's a similar storyline. It's totally different. I've already had people that have read the other one read this one, and they're like, oh, we love it, you know? And so anyways, it's one of those things that the timing, I've had this thing ready for 2 years. I've had it ready for 2 years, and I've been sitting on it because I've been too busy, like with the client load, traveling, doing all the things. I didn't have the time and space and energy to put in it. And so when COVID happened and this huge pandemic happened, I like a lot of other people, got on my knees and I prayed, like, show me what I can do, show me the way, like, how am I pivoting, what am I rearranging? And it was so strong. My intuition was so strong, just saying, it's time for your book, Girl Awaken, like, it is time. And it was like, really all I had to do was a few minor edits, and then plan the launch process. And my initial, I have a literary agent that's talking to publishers with a nonfiction book of mine, and I was going to go through her with this, and it was like, no way, because when you go through a publishing house, it's amazing and there's great perks and all of that, but it can take 2 or 3 years before your book is on the shelves. And it was like, the time is now. So I said, okay, and just went directly through Amazon, and I recorded the Audible version.
So am I correct in saying this is self-published as well?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's incredible. Like, wow, that just adds even more to this. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, that's what I want. I want to encourage people. That really is. Because it was like, first of all, when you know, there's a timing thing. And it was just like you were just saying, this timing is so perfect. And it is perfect because the title is Girl Awaken, but it's really Human Awaken, but that's not quite as catchy. Yeah. You know, so Girl Awaken, and it is about a protagonist who is a girl. And I can't wait for you to read it, Simon. Once it's released on August 24th, it'll be available. And you know, you're going to even see yourself in the story. I think, I know it's a female, but you're going to relate to so much of it. And
I can already relate to the topic. That, like, I think everyone, usually when you're on the other end of everything breaking down and you kind of take control of your own life, even though at the time you might be quite close to the language of awakening and connecting to something higher, it's when you look back, you're like, yeah, I get it. I went through that. Yeah,
totally. And so, I'm so excited because the timing is perfect. Everyone needs like a high vibe. It is impossible for you to read this book and not feel elevated. Like, it will, I don't, like, it's so funny because I just got a message this today from 3 different early readers, and they're like, I read the book in one day. It's 400 pages. Like it's not sure. One day I'm like, whoa, you know? And so it's like, and they're already like, when's the next one? When's the next one? So that feels really exciting to me. And the other thing, Simon, that I'm excited about this book for is, of course, spiritual people are going to love it. Conscious, awake, spiritual, heart-centered people are going to love it. But the person that just is looking for a good story and maybe doesn't realize that they're on a journey, or maybe doesn't realize about what even awakening or consciousness is, they're going to pick up this book and they're going to be activated on a conscious and a subconscious level, and they're going to want to learn more. So this book is really going to serve as a tool for up-leveling, uplifting the spiritual conscious community, but also opening doors and opening minds and planting seeds to those that are being called that haven't really yet awakened.
I love it. It's one of those where at the time you don't necessarily know what you're kind of like reading or the methodology behind it, but like it's one of those, I think if you can create a piece of content, which clearly you have, which inspires you enough to ask questions and reflect on your own life, I always think that's a great little infiltration into someone to get them to start really questioning things to create some change. So it's amazing that you've created that as well. It's kind of like, you've done, this is incredible. You've just got this off the floor with so much, like, do you know what I mean? It's remarkable what you've done. That really, really is.
Thank you.
What I'd love to speak to you about now is, because I want to drive this home. Our audience is global. We predominantly 65% female. And it's people who are growing, moving forwards, people who might be in corporate world, realize that it's not the right thing for them. And they might not yet be into the places what we've yet done. And such language like connecting to something higher, connecting to a divine, connecting in general, or do you know what I mean? Going in search and actually having a breakdown to an awakening moment. So, I mean, first things first, what I'd love to discuss with you, because I think everyone at some point has an awakening moment where it kind of just flips you back into the driving seat of your life. And I think right now, with the world exposing so much, with the business system you're in isn't working for you, the government system really does not have your back. The person who you've been locked up with might not be the right person for you to be locked up with in lockdown. So I really feel like right now there's a lot of people going through some form of forced exposure or some form of forced awakening. So I'd love to get from you first, what actually is an awakening? Like, how do we get this from an expert? What would you class it as?
I mean, an awakening means a lot of things to me, because we're never done. We're always awakening to our next level as long as we're breathing. And so I've had a few more awakenings in this global awakening, the great awakening, right? So to me, awakening means letting go of the masks that you've connected with and connecting with your heart and your soul, and letting go of the false pretenses and personas that have, kept you safe. And I'm not saying to do that with judgment, but an awakening is the level of awareness, creating an awareness about who you really are, about what your soul means and is. And there's always layers, and our human bodies and brains are, when we come here, we check all that at the door, right? Like when we're born, any of our awareness goes into, and I might be getting a little woo or out there, but stay with me. So, our awareness is lost, and we come into this human body forgetting our soul memories. And so an awakening is remembering. An awakening is connecting to remembering who you are, connecting to your truth, connecting to your power, and doing so in a way that to the point where you are unshakable and you will not go backward.
I absolutely love the way you have just phrased that. It is remembering who you are. Now, usually if we really do talk about topics and interviews that we've had in the past, and even if we can relate this to our own individual stories, I always think you've got two ways to be shown, haven't you? Either listen to your intuitive voice or that little soul echo that's going, hey, something doesn't feel right. Or you just don't listening for a long enough time and you keep pushing that voice down like, no, I'm going to keep going this way. And then suddenly you just get that universal crack and it just pushes you, it buries you, and it forces you to change. So
totally. I always say, we can wake up through inspiration, or we can wake up through pain and suffering. I heard that quote and I can't even remember who said it. And it was probably 6-7 years ago. And I'm like, that's so brilliant, because unfortunately 90% of humanity decides to have their dark night of the soul before they awaken. And so it's back to your question about what's happening in the climate now globally, is we are having a global dark night of the soul in a lot of ways and a lot of different layers. And even those of us that have been in, in the work and aware, we're having one as well. And it's just to that next layer. And so, when the shutdown first happened, I thought, okay, this is really amazing. Like on a global scale, we're all going to tune in and get quiet. Like, this is when I was thinking it was only 2 weeks, to be fair. So I was like, oh, good. Like a 2-week reset will be amazing. Like everyone can do it. And of course it was scary. Of course it was uncertain. Of course there was a lot of fear. And then things happened and it continued, and I'll just leave it at that. But, I think that we're all getting what we need collectively and individually, as hard as that is to swallow. The life has changed. It's going to be a hot minute before we go back to what it was. But the thing is I do believe there's a higher plan at play. I do believe this is causing people to wake up, to seek, to search. There are more and more people saying, all right, I'm done. I'm done just going about life the way it was. And I want meaning and I want purpose and I want to see what it is. A lot of people are going to have to pivot. But I was thinking about this, just like Deep Thoughts by Suzanne the other day, like on my couch. Like, think about like how many social media managers there are and all the people that run Facebook ads and all the virtual assistants out there. Like, that wasn't really that big of an industry a decade ago, or definitely not 20 years ago. So now it's like a lot of people that are falling out of their jobs because of whatever reason. There's going to be new opportunities that are created because of this. And so the more we can look at like what opportunities are in this, how can I pivot? How is this for me? And start to tune into possibilities and tune into releasing and shedding and healing and connecting to our hearts and connecting to what we really desire, then we're going to look back at this and be like, man, remember when we used to walk around and, like did things so differently? So this could be a really beautiful turning point, even though it doesn't feel like it when you're in the thick and the muck of it.
100%. I mean, I just kind of want to jump back to something that we we're speaking about and then loop back into this. But we mentioned before, kind of like we are collectively having a bit of a refathom, a realignment, a reawakening, whatever you want to call it. But I always think like a lot of the time, especially the internet, it kind of makes things sound a lot easy. It's like, oh, you're going through this little change in your life, X, Y, Z, it's going to be easy. If I just think back, in my process, when I realized the life I was living wasn't the right one, I was definitely on the wrong path. I was living my life for external validation, let's be really honest. And I just wasn't happy. I had everything, but I was the most unfulfilled, unhappiest person. Like, it was awful. And everyone thought I was happy. I wasn't. But when you come to that moment and you've got to let go, it's a hard environment to navigate through. And I look on social media now and I feel like there's a lot of, oh, it's all butterflies and angels and glowing meadows. And it's not. If I look back when I decided I've got to let go of this version, this Simon 1.0 beta version needs to disappear. And I need to go in search and find the next level of my life. There was anxiety, there was fear, there was huge depressions, there was, it was basically mud. There was a lot of mud to get through to this next section, and it was getting stuck, overcoming obstacles. And yeah. I really feel that that's your challenge, because you've got to go through that muddy section to gather the skills, to work out what's not working for you in order to get to the next section. Do you kind of feel that that's the same way when people decide that they've got to let go of what's not working for them and go in search of what will work for them? That's there's a bit of a process to it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, really transformation is one of the hardest things you go through on a physical level, but it's also the most freeing and fulfilling thing. So think about it, you know, like these, like if you look at like sports stars, or even, you know, famous singers, they don't just wake up one day and walk out on a stage and there's millions of people. They work their ass off to get there, right? And it's the same with a sense of freedom. And I don't like saying that things are work, but the truth is there is a decent amount of work, and it's easier to stay unaware, and to, you know, it's easier to, it's just like you were just saying, like you push down and you push down and you push down. I did the same thing because it's easier. It's what you know, it feels safe. And so when we start to unravel and unveil a lot of these emotions and a lot of these feelings and a lot of these traumas that we've been holding down, it's painful and it takes strength, and you want to go back, and you need support, and you need the tools, and you need the community. And the nice thing about the internet today is you're right. There are a lot of people that make it seem easy and rosy and all of that. And there are moments of that, of course. But yeah, you do have to go through to get there. And so that's why, you know, like listening to conversations like this, reading the books like Girl Awaken, doing the meditations, and just making it easier for yourself, right? So I'm not going to lie, like 2020 has been a huge year of growth for me. Like even before COVID, in January, I think I might have even told you this when we talked last time. In January, I was having some very big revelations of stuff I was holding on to. And then in COVID, you know, I just moved across the country, and I'm very, very happy where I am, but I didn't really know many people. And for the first time, I got very homesick and felt super isolated and was frustrated. And, you know, each thing, like I'm still annoyed, to be quite honest, with a lot of things happening, but I'm like, what can I do? How can I make the best of what's working? And, you know, like this book launch has actually given me this huge gust of excitement and energy in a place where I've been wanting to do this for a couple years, but haven't had the time or the space. So it's like, how can we hunker down, go through the mud, but at the same time, make the best of it? Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. What I'm thinking of is just two intertwining stories, and people really do the caterpillar and the butterfly story a lot of injustice. But I love like how this whole transformation story kind of goes like something within you knows that you need to change. And there's a sense of belief. You don't know what it is, but you've got to go and trust in something within you. Just like the caterpillar will go somewhere, go into a cocoon, not knowing what's going to happen. It effectively has to die, turn to mush, let go of this old skeleton, this being of what it was, and just trust that in some way it will rebuild itself and effectively rebuild itself. And then it has to go through this huge break, gather the strength to crack the cocoon, to suddenly go, oh shit, look at this, look at what I can do. And I always find like this story kind of like throws itself so well into that. It really is a sense of believing that there can be a better tomorrow, and that there's something that's in you that's guiding you to be better.
Yeah, and then look at the butterfly that comes out, and it's fierce, this beautiful thing that now flutters all around and makes people smile. And, you know, like that is the story. It's like you go in the cocoon, you do the healing, and then you break free. And then there's another layer. You go back into the cocoon, and then you come out even better, right? So it's a never-ending process, but I love that. I love the way that you described it. And then just the only thing I would add is the focus on the end result of the transformation, and the butterfly really being more beautiful than ever and really taking flight.
Yeah, I really think there's a huge takeaway from that story. Is it's kind of like you don't fight it. You don't fight it. The caterpillar doesn't fight it. It just knows. It knows and believes. It goes. It doesn't fight. There's no resistance. It just sheds. It lets go. Not for me. This is it.
Come on. Humans don't fight it either.
Yeah.
Really kidding.
Anxiety? Depressed,
surrender,
no?
surrender, and surrender some more, right?
Straight up. But Suzanne, look, let's flip it back. So we just mentioned then about like your own little story, how there's kind of, you weren't happy with the whole change and all that sort of stuff. I want to flip it back to a book. There was an amazing book by Viktor Frankl, which was Man's Search for Meaning. And you hit up on something which immediately just put that book to the forefront of my mind, which was like the game changed. The game changed for us. A lot of us had our purpose in the old world where we were getting up every day with a meaning and a purpose. But suddenly COVID shut us down. we couldn't go out and do the things that we were purposefully driven to go and do. And effectively, it led to us having to, like your story, go inwards and go, what's my purpose now? What's my meaning now? How can I serve? How can I contribute? How can I play out my values to be of service? I really think there's a lot to be said in that. And I think it kind of ties in so well to the nature of your book, which is awakening to this higher divinity, which is a case of what is your meaning now? So would you say there's quite a lot of that, which is finding purpose, connecting to what your new meaning is and being able to rewrite that?
Yeah, for me, I don't think it's that the meaning or the purpose has changed. It's just the way in which it expresses itself has changed. Right? Yeah. So like, I'm not going to be standing with, hundreds of people on a stage at the moment. Right. But I can get this book out into the world. I can, it's also for me, Simon, I took a hot minute to pause and really tune into what do I desire? Because as entrepreneurs, sometimes we get in the game and we're going and things are working and we get in the hustle and it's like boom, 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 boom. And then sometimes you're like, man, I'm tired. Like I need a minute. And so for me, I had done so many in-person events. I love them. I miss them. My heart is so sad. Like the other day I was like, I need to be on the stage.
Speaking to yourself in the mirror, giving all your keynotes.
Yeah. Totally. I'm like, seriously, I'm about to rent a venue, go do the whole thing virtually, but I'm going to stand on the damn stage. Like, I mean, that is like, that craving is there, but the craving is not there to run myself ragged doing event after event after event after event after event, And then I'm realizing too, like, where could I have had a little more support on some of the recruiting for these events and some of the back end and what feels good to me right now to create. It was this book, Girl Awaken. It was like, that felt good and exciting. And so now it's like, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or in 30 days or 60 days. So it's a little more about how can I get creative? What feels exciting? What are all the different ways that I could bring more abundance into my life while also offering service, and starting to ask these questions. And so that's for me. Now I've had clients that have, switched their entire businesses or pivoted their business. And you just kind of have to, take it with a grain of salt. There are mothers that are having to, figure out how to do their jobs and have the children. And then, they have their spouses in their room with them all the time and they're not used to that. So it's going to look a little different for everyone. And I think for people that were on purpose and were on mission, maybe that shifts and evolves. Maybe the way it's delivered shifts and evolves. For people that were a little bit lost, maybe they're feeling even more lost, or maybe this has given them the clarity. Like, I think regardless, it's about going within, figuring out what is on your heart, and then executing a path to that desire.
How would you navigate that? Like, for someone there's a lot of people, I can assure you right now, who are listening to this, who are like, there is something within me. I don't quite know what it is. Is there anything, like any cues or any exercises or any habits, do you know what I mean, that you would say to go and do that will kind of help people go in, connect, or any guiding questions? Yeah.
So for sure, daily meditation. And I have like 5 or 6 free ones on my website. I'm happy to give you the link. They're guided. So all you do is close your eyes and listen, because a lot of people are like, I don't know how to meditate. And if you're saying that, you do. You just acknowledge the thought and then just go back to the guidance in the meditation, whether it's mine or someone else's. So my nonfiction book that I'm writing is really about creating through your vibration. So creating your reality through your vibration versus allowing your reality to create your vibration, which is what most human beings do. So now more than ever, understanding that, just like you're across the world and we're connecting on, through signal and video, and we're seeing each other and we're talking and other people are going to be hearing this, our thoughts, our emotions, our being is sending off a signal. So for someone that is not really clear on what they're feeling, that means that you're sending out a static signal. So what you want to do is just start to tune into your heart, tune in through meditations, tune in through asking the questions. How am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? How is this for me? What does my inner guidance want to tell me? What are my deepest heart's desires? And just sit still with some of those questions and tuning in. And if you don't get answers right away, no problem. Sit down and do it again the next day. And then sit down and do it again the next day until you feel connected. Nature is so important. I'm lucky enough that I live right on the water with the ocean right now. And that has been
and
so
dolphins.
Soothing. And the dolphins, yes.
And dolphins.
Did you see that video that I posted?
I did.
Where they were all
I was like,
God.
I would have ran. I would have been straight in there.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, I live right by the water. And the other day I walked outside and there was about 12 dolphins in like 3 feet of water. And it was just the most, it was so spectacular. And so for me, you know, I'm getting barefoot and my feet in the sand every day, even if it's for 10 minutes. If you don't have that, find grass, find something, some sort of nature, and that will connect you and help you tune in as well.
I absolutely love this. We've not really spoke about this on the show really in all the episodes that we've done, which is really finding a sense of stillness. If I look back through my story, I was very good at distracting in a multitude of different fashions. We see that now, people on social media, they grabbing the phone every 10 minutes, they'll go on it, scroll, put the phone down and bam. But when was the last time you got really still enough to kind of tune into yourself? And I think for me, that was a major part. Getting into nature and breath work were probably the main things that really drove home the importance of that and put me in a position where I was like, oh, this is actually what I want. It's like, oh, I'm not actually happy with this. So I really do know the words that you've just spoke, which was find a way of getting still, is really a big thing for a lot of people, is realize what your distractions are and chill, listen to yourself.
Yeah, and there are a lot of them. Like, I resonate. I'm guilty of the scrolling, and you know, I have to consciously put my phone away because it's like the dopamine. There's a dopamine receptors that activate in our brain when we hear the do. Like, I've turned off all my notifications so I don't hear them, because otherwise it's very hard to you know, to separate. Netflix. I mean, Netflix is a way that so many people. You know, I used to never watch TV, and I will admit I've spent a little bit of time watching some TV since all this quarantine, and it's good at some points to escape. But when you're watching more Netflix than not, or when that, you know, you're watching multiple hours of it a day, that's, even if you just took 30 minutes of that time and got still and quiet, you'd be amazed at the difference in your life and the way that you feel. Yeah,
definitely. And more, I always think as well, it's getting still, but actually being able to express it. So for me, stillness was part number one. Actually picking up a pen and paper, not a phone, because I think you're only halfway in it if it's a phone, because you will go and scroll, you will get a note, something will happen, there's too much. But just being still and getting a pen and paper and writing it down and making sense of it all. Why did I keep thinking about this? Why is this person keep popping up? Sure. And just really kind of opening up the things that were popping into your head is a major thing.
I love that, Simon, and I agree with the journal. And I love what you just said, because it's like we don't ask ourselves the questions, and we are brilliant, magical creatures that have the answers right inside of us. And just taking the time, it seems so silly, like, but when you do that, it's amazing about what comes through, and that is how you connect. So I love that.
Exactly. So Suzanne, look, what's next? Obviously we've got this book live. I know you've, there's a bundle that people can get when they actually get the book as well. So I'd love to just speak to you about that. What's kind of included in all of this? It seems like it really is an amazingly thought out toolkit for people to get them on a journey, which I love.
Totally. So I created a bundle, a free bundle gift where you get about $500 worth of trainings, meditations, there's a sound bath in there. You get journal prompts, a mindset workbook, and really the intention was, so if you purchase the book, you get that for free. And you can put the link at SuzanneAdamsInc.com/girl-awakened. And I know that people are going to read this book and want to go deeper. And so I wanted to provide some tools right away that were available. And, you know, it's kind of fun just to explore, because regardless of where you are in this process, you know, first of all, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's perfect. Whoever's listening to this, for you, Simon, for me, it's perfect, because I know a lot of people when they awaken, they're like, gosh, if I would have just known that a decade ago or 5 years ago, you know what, it's right on purpose and it's perfect. And so
you are where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So these tools are just some tools that you can dive right in, go deeper into the spirituality game, have fun with it. I like to have fun with it because I feel like so many times we take this so seriously, like must do journal prompts, must meditate, da 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 da. It's like, whoa, what if we could just like lace a little bit of fun in it and have a fun story and then have some fun meditations. And whenever I'm talking or speaking, I try to like up the vibe a little bit so it's fun and we're feeling that energy. And so I'm just really grateful and excited. And if you're listening, go check out the book trailer. You can kind of see what it's about in just about a minute and a half. Grab the book, get this gift bundle, come play with me.
I love the fact that it's just everything that we've just spoke about. It's literally like, yep, you need to go and do like get in touch with yourself, meditation, maybe some journaling prompts. It's literally, this will inspire you that there's a better tomorrow. Here's the toolkit. That's absolutely incredible. It's what I'd love to speak to you about as well, because you're a very entrepreneurial person. So since I kind of packed up and decided to start traveling, I became obsessed with studying like super successful people or people that have done something. And there's a real element of those who have achieved at a high level are always searching for clarity. They're always seeking awareness. And quite a few of them have kind of spiritual practices, so to speak. Now, first things first, what I'd love to ask you before I delve back into that topic is, to you, what does spirituality mean? Because for me, going through this process of what I've been through, I genuinely believe that some form of spirituality really is a hidden tool that's not really spoke about in the entrepreneurship world that really helps people slingshot forwards, both be it vision, creativity, clarity, awareness. So for you, what is spirituality? What does it mean to you?
So for me, spirituality means connection. It means faith. It means trusting. And it really means infinite possibilities. Okay. And I think there is no right or wrong with what's, some people think religion is what spirituality is. And I think for those people that serves you, that's amazing. And that's great. It's hard to put into words what spirituality is to me, because it just is, like it wasn't always that way. But once I awakened and once I connected, I've meditated every day now for over 6 years. I have not missed one day because it's that important to me. And it's that important to me because it's what helps me to feel grounded and feel connected and feel safe. And I know that the more my channels are open to my heart and to the divine connection that I hold, the more fulfilled I'm going to be, the more of service I'm going to be. So for me, that is a non-negotiable. To some people, spirituality can just be connecting in nature. Like I think it's so hard to put words to that question. And I think it's fluid what it means. And it means totally different things to different people.
That's why I love asking it. I've asked it to quite a few really conscious leaders that we've had on the show. And I love hearing different things, but the same words bump up. It's connecting something that's higher to you. A lot of people mentioned how it's keeping yourself aligned to the path that you're on and amplifying what you're doing. So it's kind of like, this is what I know I should be doing, but is my physical body actually being utilized at its best to fulfill that path? And I absolutely love that way of, looking at it as well. So for you, I'd love to know, because you've crushed it. You've just self-published a book. I know a lot of authors, a lot of my friends are authors, and they've said that self-publishing was one of the hardest things that they've done. And for me, who's a budding writer and is really looking to get a book out in 2021, because you're going to hold me accountable to it. Like, how would you say that from a girl who's clearly bossing it in the business world, this new outlook of life and kind of really bringing yourself home and becoming more aware has served you within the business?
I mean,
and serves you on the daily.
Yeah. I think there's a reason why, it's like there's the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Did I say that right? There's a reason people talk about. I don't even know the author. I just know, like, I don't even know what's in the book, but I can probably tell you without reading it. So like, there's a reason that I'm just being honest. There's a reason that, you know, all of these uber successful people talk about, you know, meditation and morning ritual and all these things, because you only get so far in life when you depend on your like teeny little mind. You know, as a human, we have these teeny little minds, and then there's this big grand universe that we can connect to. And so for me, like, I think about anyone that's doing something great, connected, is channeling, is connected to something bigger, is connected to God, the divine spirit, source, whatever you call it. I don't even care. When you look at someone, yeah, like really playing the piano, like there is an energy moving through them. For me, when I was writing my book, there were moments where like I'd be tapped out and words were coming on the page, and it was just, and then I'd be like, oh, that's so good. Like when you see an athlete and they're in the zone and they're doing it, they're connected. So whether you are singing, whether you're reading a story to your child, like anytime that you're really connected, you're allowing something beautiful and higher to come in and move through you. And so for me, I believe that every successful person is doing that. And the way that you do that is different for everyone, just like we've spoken about. Meditation is a direct way, journaling to connect with your heart, really having clean channels, meaning you're not allowing a bunch of toxicity through media coming into your space, having enlightening conversations, doing whatever it takes to have those conversations, listening to conversations like this over and over, connecting with like-minded people, and really remaining open.
I absolutely love where this is going. If you look at the science of flow and peak performance, when people really do get into the connected states, so they lose the sense of time. So the part in the brain where time is prevalent stops. And I always think there's a lot of people who, maybe it took me 25 years to really go, do you know what, like I'm not on the right path. So 25 years of my life, I really was on the wrong tracks. But I really think a lot of people don't know what questions to ask. And I really think, like, for what we're discussing, which is, when was the last time you were so deeply connected that time didn't exist? And I think if you can start connecting the gold, finding the little traces there, you'll start finding a lot more about yourself. And that could be connecting with great people, traveling, running in nature, exercising. I really think that that's a powerful way of bringing things back.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, but then if you think of a child, it's a childlike sense of wonder, isn't it? Because if you think of a kid, yeah, when they're playing or they're doing something, and you saying the name, they just don't pay attention. It's like nothing else exists bar this one thing that I'm connected to and doing, which it could be putting handprints on a wall or eating worms. That was me.
Well, that's not the best for the parents. But yeah, like when they're in their mud playing, or just in the bathtub with their toys, or dancing or singing, or totally, we can learn a lot from children and from that. And I think as adults, we think that we shouldn't be playing anymore. And, you know, I completely disagree. We have to get our minds back into the space of what feels fun and exciting, and like what will make me feel alive. And yeah, when was the last time I forgot what time it was, or forgot to even look at the clock? Because I guarantee you it's not while you're scrolling on your phone on social media, right? And I mean, I think social media is amazing. I think that there's a time and space and place for that, but there's also a time and space and place for having fun and dancing, and especially now, because we got to get creative with ways to have fun, right?
Yeah, you've got to find your own ways. That's the thing that I love about this period. It's like you've got to find, really, when there's no more tools or you've kind of exhausted. Like everyone's completed Netflix now. There's not a chance someone on this world is inspired to go on a Netflix and isn't spending half an hour looking for something to watch. I can guarantee that right now. So,
well, not totally me. I've watched like 2 series of things, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting caught up on a little TV.
I tell you, I'd love to have this conversation. Do you feel guilty? Do you allow yourself to sit there and numb out for an hour, or how do you play? Because I get to a point where I'm like, this isn't good now. Like it's. Does that make sense? I get a bit of balance with it.
You have to keep in mind, like I've never been, in the last 10 years, I haven't been a big TV watcher. Like I've just always felt like there's something more productive to do with my time. Like I'll admit it, as embarrassing as this is, I've watched The Bachelor, like those shows, and not proud to admit that, to be honest. So I've watched that, which is like 1 hour a week, like, you know, and I don't even watch every episode, and I fast forward through half the like stupid drama in it. So like, I like high vibe TV where it makes you feel good. So I'm also particular about what I watch. Now, if there has been some moments in COVID where I've been like, I just need, like, my body needs rest and I just need to lay and chill. And in those moments, I don't feel guilty, but you know, it might've taken me a decade to get to that point. Also, I'm just not the personality type. Like, if I were watching 3 hours of TV a day, I would absolutely feel guilty, because I'm like, gosh, there's so much more I'd rather be doing. It's not even like feeling guilty. It's like, this is just wasting these precious hours that I have in the day, you know? And again, it's different for everyone. So I think it's okay. There are moments where it could be really good for you to sit and escape and let yourself wander, but just not 3 hours a day, every day, all the time, you know?
Yeah, totally. I get you on that. For me, it took me a long time. I always used to be like, oh God. I was always someone who, I had to be watching documentaries or something. There had to be a purpose to me watching it. So I got to a point where I was like, look, I actually do need to switch off mentally. Like, I can't keep consuming all the time. It's just like, oh,
totally.
South Park. So,
funny.
Guilty pleasures. So, Suzanne, look, obviously we've got this sort of stuff now, which is happening in the world. We've got your incredible book and toolkit, which has now come out. There's clearly a lot of people who are going through this period of kind of like the breakdown, the shedding, the great letting go. And there's going to be a new world that's about to open up, a new playground for us to go and adventure in. What I'd love to know from you is, from someone who's been through this process and someone who's an expert and got the psychological backing to it, where would you say the best place to start is? So when people actually have decided, which I really think is a big thing, I've decided to let go of this identity, I've decided to change. What would you say then, if we were to give people a bit of a toolkit which can arm them, what would you say the best way to get through that next step is into stepping forwards into a new life?
Well, I think we have to be really willing to let go of what was, because, you know, a lot of times we want to hold on to that. We want to hold on to what felt safe. And we have to really be willing to align our mindset to looking for possibilities. Yes, I said it 3 times on purpose, because our minds will go to, well, this is shut down, no one has money, yada, yada, yada. But the truth is, there are doors opening every single day for every single one of us. It's a matter if we're open to them and if we're looking for them. And the more that you do the stuff we've talked about throughout this entire conversation, of getting still, of asking yourself the questions, of connecting to your heart, expanding your mind, having fun, getting in a space where you lose time, the more clear that's going to be. So I would say, really honor yourself. If you need some extra healing, take that time, do the healing. You know, honor what your guidance system is showing you and telling you, and then look for possibilities, because they are there. I promise. There is always something bigger, better, brighter. There is anytime that something falls away, there's always a step up that is available to us if we align our energy to that and take action in that direction.
I absolutely love this. I would love to add to this, and I think this can kind of really sum up this topic really well. I always love the analogy that your thoughts are the language of the mind, the feelings are the language of the body, and your intuition and gut feeling is the language of your soul. So make sure you're doing practices which can connect those 3 together so that everything's working in harmony and unity, and it's keeping you on the straight and narrow. I always find when I'm consulting for leaders or something along the lines of that, something's become disjointed and it doesn't feel right. So do more of those things that connect those things, for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah. So Suzanne, look, what's next for you? You've got this book launched. You clearly have built a lot of momentum. I can see it in your energy. You literally are glowing. What's next? What's the next steps for you?
What's next? We're just beginning. This is just, you know, the next Girl Awaken goes to movie, right? I have had a couple Hollywood producers express interest in that. So, the next step is to
Oh,
yeah, yeah. It might be a Netflix series, could be a movie. I mean, it's definitely going to happen. I guarantee you. I'm very unattached to it. I've seen it since day one. So I'm really excited for that.
holy shit.
It's
That would be
flowing.
such a good, that would, wow. I can see that. That would be a
Hmm.
really good visual. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
it'll bring them. It'll also be on purpose. It'll help people. A lot more people will reach more people that way. So what's next is this book is really getting this book into the hands of as many people as possible, is doing all the other things. But really, Simon, I'm just committed to not having to be so stuck to a plan, because right now is not the time for that. And so I am open. I am doing, I do some corporate consulting. I'm doing some of that locally. I've obviously got clients that I'm doing virtually. I may do some small in-person stuff just because I'm itching for it and I'm craving that connection. I know others are too. I'm going to put a lot more energy into this book and sharing this message, and really just helping others to do all the things that we've been talking about, but in a really fun, magical, mystical story to kick it off.
I'd love to ask you this. Are you someone who sees it and pretty much you just plan your day is pretty much just closing the gap on a vision that burns? Like you just spoke to me about how this was going to be a series. It's like I got the impression then, like the way you were communicating, like you've already seen that happening. Like you've already felt it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you
That day when
is
I
that how you work? Yeah.
sometimes, a lot of time when I'm helping others, yeah, I'll just see it. I'll just boom, and then I'll see the direct path for them. For me, it's a little different, like certain things, and then I have to tune in because my own mind and my own resistance will show up. And so for this is the reason I'm really unattached to book to movie now is because I've seen this for so long, and now I get it, because it's like the timing actually is now. It wasn't when I first launched the first book, and this book is way better than the first one. It's my editor said it's not even the same book. It's a similar story. It's a reimagined, upgraded version. So to me, it's like I've had 5 years of practice to get really unattached to this. So I've let it go. And, now I'm like, I just know that like this is happening, and whether it happens tomorrow or next year or in 2 years, but
Yeah.
mark my words, Girl Awaken will be on the big screen, whether it's Netflix, Amazon, on an actual movie. I don't know, and I don't care, because at that point, it's not even about me. It's about really serving humanity and shifting consciousness through entertainment instead of the opposite, which is, bringing people down through low vibe content, right?
Totally. I was going to say the rate of growth that the tech world's going under at the minute will probably be VR in the next year. You'll be able to live the life of, was it Sam?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a video game, like virtual reality. That's a great idea.
Totally. I want in on that loyalties.
Right, right.
So, look, Suzanne, it's amazing. Obviously, we had you on at the beginning of this year before a lot started to change. It's been incredible to see you actually spoke it on that show as well. I can remember vividly that's like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Got to get through this, then this. And you've spoken, you've done. I think the big thing I love about this show is a lot of the time people just see a book and they'll do a big disjustice because it's like, oh, this person's wrote a book. It's kind of like an overnight success. It's a quick thing. The thing that I love about this is it's actually speaking to you. So I actually know from your story of it's not an overnight success. It literally is years and years and years of hard work, high highs, low lows, getting through that mud, unfolding yourself. Do you know what I mean? For sitting on this idea for 2 years to actually bringing it to fruition. It never is overnight. And this is what I love about your sort of stuff as well, is we've got the whole story on here and now we've got the book. So it's incredible to hear that.
Yeah.
So Suzanne, look, where can people get the book? Where can people find out more about you? Tell us, where do you hang around online?
So Girl Awakened on Amazon. I'll give you a link, Simon, as well, so you can link it over in the notes. Just go to Amazon or just Google Girl Awakened book. It should come up. You can come play with me on Instagram at Suzanne Adams Inc. And then the gift bundle, also SuzanneAdamsInc.com/girl-awakened.
Incredible. Suzanne, is there anything you want to hit home on? If you could give one message of wisdom or inspiration to the world and our many listeners, what would you give?
Yeah, I would just say this is really the beginning of the beginning for opportunity and possibilities. And you are a powerful creator. And when you can really tune in to the energy of what you desire instead of tuning into the energy of what may be your reality, you can create anything. So find the tools, find the support. You can do it. You have everything you need.
I love that. I love that. Suzanne, thank you for coming on. And I can't wait to get you on next time when you've created some more. Will you virtual reality TV show?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Totally. It's been such a gift and a pleasure, Simon. Thank you so much. And just an honor. I really appreciate you.
You're amazing.